Hi, my name is Cindy, aka Z9design. So today is What Would You Make? So sit back, relax, and watch what I will make. DIY number 1, wallpaper clipboard. Supplies needed include a wooden cutting board from Dollar Tree, wallpaper from Dollar Tree, acrylic paint, clothespin, reptile adhesive, hot glue, and a paper flower. This was a simple and easy DIY. I had a cutting board in my stash from Dollar Tree and thought it would make a wonderful clipboard. So I took some wallpaper from Dollar Tree, placed my cutting board on top, and traced it around with a pen. A pencil would work also. Scissors were used to cut around the outline I had made with the pen. Now it was time to remove the backing from the wallpaper and place it onto the cutting board. I had to adjust it a couple of times to make sure that I got it on straight. Then I checked to determine if there was overhang on the sides, and this was no problem. There was just a little bit, so I cut around the edges to make sure it was nice and neat. Then I got the bright idea to paint around the edges. I should have done that in the beginning, but anyway, I didn't. So the paint that I used was called Frosted Leaves, and it did not cover as I expected. In fact, I felt it was a little on the watery side. Next, I used the same paint on a clothespin, and when it was dry, I had a beautiful, it was kind of gray flower that had some sparkles on it, and I hot glued that to the end of the clothespin. A tumbling tower block was hot glued on the back, and it is good to hold a quote as well as a recipe. So let me know what you think of this one. Now, I had a beautiful clip to put on there, and because I was doing so many things, I have no idea what I did with the clip. But if I find it, I'll let you know how it would look on there, because it was just beautiful. I was like, oh, I got this one. And then you lose stuff and can't find them. Anyway, What Would You Make is an open invite that is hosted by Rustic and Lace DIY and Divine Design. These are super crafters and will wow you with their creativity. The guest host is Lady Red Crafting, and she fits that category as well. So make sure that you subscribe, like, save, and comment. The link to their channels is in the description box below. Now, there are other crafters like me that have made some great DIYs also, so be sure to subscribe, like, save, and comment on their channels too. The link to the playlist is in the description box below. Okay, now we're going to do a wooden modern frame that's an art piece. The supplies needed include a wooden frame, barbecue skewers, a lattice frame from Dollar Tree, reptile adhesive, black acrylic paint, gold leaf, and metal leaf adhesive, along with a piece of foam board and some tumbling tower blocks. And I made a paper flower, and of course you need scissors. Now, I have seen a few crafters use these lattice type wood pieces for art, so I will try my hand at something a little bit different. I had an old wood frame in my stash, and I think it had artwork on it, and it was from Dollar Tree. It almost fit my lattice frame, so with a few alterations, it fit. So let's see what I did. I took some barbecue skewers and I cut them to fit around the frame. so the wood lattice would fit without falling through to the other side. When that was dry, I painted both frames black. And I thought about using some rub and buff, but I changed my mind and I used some gold leaf. I had some metal leaf adhesive. I put that on the black frame and the lattice frame, and it said to leave it on for about 45 minutes because it is going to be a little tacky. You don't want it really wet, you want it tacky. So when you place the gold leaf over the lattice frame and the other wooden frame, the gold leaf will adhere. I painted the piece of foam board black and I placed it in the middle of the lattice frame. However, before that, I took 4 tumbling tower blocks, I painted them black, and I clamped them to the 4 sides of the lattice frame. I put the piece of foam board that was painted black kind of in back of that so that it would hold it in, because I'm not really wanting to hot glue it. We'll see how it looks in the end. Then to put the icing on the frame, I cut out several circles with a punch that I had. I put them around a paper cup. And when it was removed, it turned out to be a beautiful flower, and I just hot glued it in the middle of the foam board. Lastly, all you had to do was put it on an easel, and hey, I think it looks pretty great. Maybe not necessarily my cup of tea, but I wanted to try something different. And when you try different things, you may find something that you really like, or you may find something that you will do differently next time. DIY number 3, a butterfly cloche with stenciled bottom. Supplies needed include white acrylic paint, a round stencil, antique wax, terracotta vase, small wood branches, paper butterflies, hot glue, and some moss. Now I have several cloches around, and the base is very plain and it's just wood. So I thought that this would be a good idea and a time to kind of jazz it up a bit. The base was painted white because the base that I have on the others are like black and brown. So I wanted this one to kind of be a little bit lighter brown, but to kind of look like wood. So after it was dry, I took some antique wax and put it all around there to get a nice milk chocolate color. And in order to get the antique wax in the grooves, I just used Q-tip, and that got down into the crevices so that the white wasn't showing through too much. Next, I took the round stencil that I had in my stash, and it also came from Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree has some nice stencils if you can find them. And in fact, when I put this one over the base, I really didn't have to tape it down, but I did because you didn't know if it was going to be moving around or not. But it seemed to stick well to the base. So I put this one over the base and I taped it down, and then I took my white paint and I just dabbed it over the stencil, and when I felt that I had gotten all of the areas, then I pulled it off immediately. You don't want to keep it on because there may be bleeding, and you're probably going to get a little bleeding anyway. It won't be as noticeable. Wow, I love the beautiful print that it left on this base, and I just let it dry. So now it was time to dress it up and style it. So I began looking in my stash, and I found a small terracotta pot that had moss around the top. And I think I had used this for something previously, and I said, bingo, this is it. I stuffed some flower foam into the terracotta pot, and then I began pushing some tiny stems that I had gotten from the yard into the foam. Hey, that is too plain, so I covered the foam with some moss. And then I got the bright idea. I said, some paper butterflies would look really cool hanging off some of the stem pieces that I retrieved from outside. I will later change it out for some colorful butterflies if I can find some, or maybe I'll make some. But for now, this is going to have to do. So I hot glued some tiny and some medium-sized butterflies to the branches, and I just love the look. You need to love how you style it. However, when I tried to put the glass top over the base and stems, it wouldn't fit. I had to break down some of the stems in order for the base to fit perfectly, but in the end, it did, and this is my favorite because you see, this can be used in the springtime or fall, any season of the year. You can change out the butterflies for something else depending on the season. For example, for fall, you can use pumpkins. The sky is the limit. So let me know what you think. I love to read your comments and suggestions. And if you have liked what you've seen, be sure to subscribe, like, save, and comment. I love those comments. Crafting is challenging, but also very rewarding. In fact, it has been said that an art activity a month increases life expectancy by 10 years. Wow, that is incredible. So you're going to, in about 10, 20 years, you're going to see some old crafters. But this is incredible. And of course, you must exercise and eat healthy too. I always enjoy comments that you make. It makes me laugh, keeps me on top of my game. Also, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Facebook. And thanks for watching each and every week. I appreciate all of your comments. And remember, the richest thing that you could have is peace. And this is unknown. See you later. Bye-bye.